presentations. We're going to start with Catarina Martins and Oksana Timchuk. The floor is yours, Catarina and Oksana.
Hello, everybody. Again, thanks for the opportunity to be here. And you are presenting a paper concerning parents' voices, inclusion of students with intellectual and development disabilities in higher education. Maybe it's something a little bit different from you have been earning in these days. So we believe that listening to families' voices is really important to everyone. And we also believe that making higher education more inclusive to students with IDD is important for them, but important also to all students, and it also benefits all the community. And listening to families' voices is really important, because if family is important to every one of us, it's much more important when we have some kind of disabilities, and their words are pretty important. Their informations are really valuable concerning what they already know about their children or their youngsters. So all the learnings, all the habits, and all the characteristics are very known from families. So it's really important for us to listening to them. When we speak about transition to adulthood, there are two paradigms that we believe they are really important in this process. One of them is planning at alternative tomorrows with hope. It's a kind of a planning and problem-solving methodology, and it's about finding alternative ways to achieve the desired vision for the future of each one. So the purpose is to create meaningful changes for individuals concerning also their aspirations, their wishes, and their beliefs, and what are their interests and their dreams. The other one is gentle teaching. It's an approach, a non-aversive approach that provides a deep understanding of each person's needs and motivations. And it also brings interactional change, and it believes in the person, him or herself, through an unconditional appreciation and also acceptance. Gentle teaching also talks about feeling loved and feeling accepted. So this work is inside a project. There is a partner, it's a European partnership, and it has some aims like inclusion of students with the IDD and all transition and independent life. Also exploring the role that digital media can play in this process of being an active and participant adult in a community and also adult life. So we made a study which aims were identify perspectives of parents of students with IDD about the possibility of their inclusion in higher education, something that most of them have never thought about. So we had 4 focus group. We have here, it was online. We have here some of the screen, and it was from June to December 2021. We had 22 parents, 4 mothers, 4 fathers, and 18 mothers of 20 youngsters. All of them were more than 15 years old, and had IDD with different profiles, different gender, and different, of course, characteristics. 3 researchers were present in these sessions. So concerning the characterization of the youngsters whose parents were present, we had 12 boys and 8 girls from 16 to 40 years old. The most part of them had attended special curriculum in their compulsory education levels. Some of them already had professional courses. And when we asked parents about the difficulties they found in their children, they refer mainly intellectual and socialization difficulties. Some of them had already some professional and social experiences, like in coffee shops and pastries, in kindergartens, greenhouses, hospitals. So they had already had some experience, or during their internships during the school, or in some other associations where they had already some experiences. And when we asked parents about youngsters' dreams, one of them was to be happy, and the others to have a work and to keep on learning. And we asked them what about their dreams to their own sons and daughters. The majority referred to see them happy and to be autonomous and independent. So we started with some questions, and after that parents were freely speaking, and after that we looked into the results. The questions were: what expectations and dreams do you think your child has to his own life? Have you ever thought about him or her pursuing studies in higher education? In your opinion, what other supports should there be in higher education if they could attend? And what could be the role of non-governmental organizations linked to disability in all this process? So even if they had never thought or heard about gentle teaching, when they were referring some aspects about these questions, they referred also some interesting points that are in gentle teaching, like feeling safe, having safe or loving relationships, feeling a sense of connectedness, feeling self-worth, feeling secure, as being some interests, some aspirations, and also some dreams, and also having meaningful and valuable daily activities. When we talk about facilitators to a successful transition from the compulsory school to a higher education system, they referred in a very important way effective relationships with colleagues, sharing moments with other parents, and also effective collaboration with school. Concerning support at school, parents are really afraid, and they refer many fears they have when thinking about their sons and daughters going to higher education. And they say that it would be really important to have the support of a multidisciplinary team, and also support and special education teachers, because this is the model they also have in compulsory school. Other facilitators, parents prefer that therapies, some specialty attendance, extracurricular activities are really important for them to achieve social connections, and also many pedagogical and cognitive development. Concerning barriers to transition, it's really an important aspect. When we ask them, what do you think that a barrier to transition, which are the most meaningful for you? They say things like, more than the pandemic situation, of course, we were in the core and the pandemic when we were making these focus groups. They refer the lack of inclusion, difficulties in relationships in school, and also many activities in segregated environments. You are talking about inclusion, and parents also refer that their children often, and most part of the time, they live and have activities in segregated environments and not in inclusive settings. When you ask them about the models of inclusion, which are the models do you think that suit better this purpose? The most part of them refer to inclusion, being with partners, being with peers in a system and not in segregated environment. And we had one mother that defends the segregated model due to the really significant disabilities and difficulties of the son. When we are talking about still supports, the parents were very valuable, referring and giving great contributions about these supports that would be important for them in higher education. Inclusive university tutoring that already exists in other environments, supports from associations and from community. Community is really important for our parents and for the youngsters we work with. Concerning digital solutions, when we ask them, do you think digital solutions are important for them in this transition process? Yes, they're really important, and they refer that Zoom application and Zoom moments they have during those lockdown moments were really important, and also mobile applications for accessibility. They say it's important for them to have and to be more connected. Other suggestions are really linked also with the subjects and disciplines they could have, and computing, arts, and English are the most referred as subjects that are important as academic curricular subjects for them. So we had gathered some suggestions from this focus group and from what parents could say about this transition to this model that you are already implementing in Portugal, and we have very good practices all over the world. So institutions of higher education can develop practices that support transition and encourage students with IDD to consider higher education as an option if they wish. Sometimes also in secondary school, it's never put as a question. They go to professional settings, they go to some associations, it's segregated models, but very rarely they suggest education as a possibility. Our education institutions also should think about adapt the curriculum according to the interests and skills of people with IDD. We know when they are interested, they perform better. Provide support services for students with IDD. They can do things when they have the right support, and this should be something we should consider. Offer adaptation periods. Transition process are difficult for everyone, and when we have an intellectual disability, it's much more important to think about this. Monitoring, mentoring, tutoring programs, peer mentoring is really important, and peers and parents also give value to these practices. Institutions also could develop practices to promote the use of digital technologies. Many of our youngsters are good at this, others are not so good, and it's important to be connected and to be independent and autonomous to use digital technologies in a much more accessible way. This transition and this process must be really and closely supported by everyone, namely parents. Parents must be important and must be involved also not only in learning process, but also in this moment of transition when there are so many fears, when there are so many moments of what am I going to do now that my son and my daughter has finished compulsory school. And NGOs, all the associations that also work with universities and that are very good partners can play a good mediating role in this process. Many associations know these students from early ages. They support them in many moments, and it's important to hear their voices because they also can give good contributions. And after all, as one mother said in our interviews, in any environment, I think the most important is the emotional domain to help her to be more autonomous, more self-confident, and also parts of the community. So if you keep this in mind, I think we are going to be really successful in this transition. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't exceed the time. So we have time for questions.
No, not at all. You were perfect in the 15 minutes, Catarina. Thank you very much. So at this point, we could open up for some questions, comments, please.
Yes.
Okay, Carlos.
Possible, I have a question. Catarina, I understand very well that also education could be let's say, a sort of social damper and a way to include IDD people somewhat more in the society. But on the other hand, I wonder if by chance getting in an environment like the higher educational one, they do not deepen the difference between them and, let's say, normal people, in the sense that it becomes more and more difficult to get inserted into the society at a certain level. So for sure they could be happier for a certain period, but then, I mean, probably the inclusion in the society will be a little bit more tricky. For example, I know that for IDD people is very well included in hotel, for example, activities, in restaurant activities, in activities where, I mean, the cognitive level help them to really be included. Do you have any I mean, feeling or evidence for a better inclusion, a better autonomous life for people that attended higher educational courses?
Thank you, Carlo. Maybe Oksana can also help me. But the question here is, many of our students are not ready when they are 18 years old to go to the market labor. So why do you think that all of the others are ready to that? So the question is, not all of them are going to higher education, but why stop them if they really want to achieve more competencies, more skills, and know better some expertise? For example, some of them have attended professional courses, and they want to know more about that, so they can be more ready to go to the market labor. And also, they can have academic disciplines and also more practical ones. So they can, it's like they can have their own path, and they can choose which disciplines and which practical sessions they want to attend. So they can also, we are not trying to postpone or to, you are trying to give them more competencies and also to share a setting with their peers. In education may be also one of those environments. We don't think, we only think it's not fair to say you are not allowed to go to higher education because you have a disability. You're not going to be engineer or a medical doctor. We know that, but you can ameliorate and you can be better in same area you are already trying to be good in. Some of them have already attended kindergarten as assistants, for example, and they do it well. But some of them also want to learn more English or learn more writing competencies and reading competencies, and they can go on in this learning process, because if they are really slow in some aspects, why you are stopping them so early in their educational levels.
No, but I agree, of course.
They know they are different, Carol. They know they are different.
I agree. You have
we are not confusing them,
of course. But for my experience, for example, I teach for some years in educational science courses, and we have some people with IDD. Okay, my impression was, of course, I'm happy that they are there and that I can help to make them feel better for a certain period, to provide, if possible, them more competencies, as you say, that's okay. But my impression is that since that course was to train people that is going to work in a nursery, okay, then my impression is that at the end of the curricula, let's say, and of course, we have to help people to get to the end of the curricula. Of course, we have to provide them a different way to evaluate them, a different way to teach them, a different way. I mean, different ways, okay? But my impression is that at the end of the curriculum, they get more difficult to get into the job and to compare themselves with the standard people. You know what I mean?
They are already really compared in many settings, and they already live their experience. Most of our youngsters have already had more professional experiences than all the others, because they already do that during the secondary school. I think the model in Portugal, we are only in first steps. The model should be not to be different and not to have different evaluation, is to have an evaluation really adapted to their characteristics, not different from the others, but according to their characteristics. The curriculum has to be concerning what they really want to be better on, and then working with them according to that. I understand what you say, Carlo. So we have a long path to travel. And we already have some examples in some universities. So let's go walking in this way, and we also can keep talking about that and giving you some feedback on what you're going to reach. Thank you, Carlo, for your question.
One more. Oksana, would you like to make any additional comment here?
This academic year started, of course, for young people with IDD. At the moment, we have a group of 6 young people included in different university courses. These young people are supported by a tutor and several student volunteers. We have the results that expected your expectations, and I think it is possible. Thank you.
I'm just curious in one thing, just for us to finish up this first presentation. Did you share these results with all your participants, with all the families, and even other families that maybe were not able of participating with you in your study? But have you shared your integrated results back to the community that in a certain sense could understand what this means, or haven't you had that opportunity? The integrated result you presented with us today.
It's still on the plan. Okay. And it's part of a guides book that is going to an output from the iLives project. We are integrated, and we have already told to some parents who participated in this process some of the results, and they are willing to know what goes on, because many of them really get excited about this possibility, because they were already formatted like, this is not for my daughter or my son. I never thought about this. I have never heard about this from anyone. We always thought it could be impossible for us.
That's why I was mentioning this or asking about this, because sometimes the biggest inertia is inside families. So when we have this kind of contribution and integrated result, the best is to put families explaining to other families the best way to go. That's why I was asking. So even for people that for some reason didn't participate with you, it's always a good move to get your integrated results and invite all the community, you know, that is engaged and has an enormous inertia to engage. Maybe share your results with them and put the family speaking with each other. I think that's the best way. It's a much stronger voice than our voice as researchers and of course as citizens interested in those kind of strategies. And thank you for your work.